"More coffee, sir," she murmured, avoiding his eyes, her hand trembling slightly as she poured. "Just shy?" No. Jordan felt it, a deep, hidden current beneath her quiet service. What secret was she hiding from him? The sterile hum of Hartsfield-Jackson, Atlanta International Airport filled the background noise of the small, brightly lit diner tucked away near Gate C-34. Michael Jordan nursed a cup of surprisingly decent coffee, scrolling idly through emails on his phone, trying to kill time during an unexpected 3-hour layover caused by thunderstorms further north. Travel delays were an occupational hazard he'd long accepted, but the enforced idleness always chafed. Slightly. The diner was sparsely populated, a few weary business travelers tapping on laptops, a family trying to corral restless children, a pilot reading a newspaper at the counter. Jordan had chosen a booth in the far corner, hoping for relative anonymity, his ever-present cap pulled low. His waitress, a young woman named Maria according to her slightly askew name tag, moved with a quiet efficiency that spoke of long hours and low pay. She took his order, simple club sandwich, extra pickles, with polite brevity, her eyes focused somewhere over his left shoulder. When she brought his food, she placed it down quickly, murmuring a barely audible "Enjoy," before retreating swiftly behind the counter. She seemed shy, painfully so, or perhaps just exhausted. Her uniform looked clean but worn, her shoes sensible, practical. There were faint shadows under her eyes, suggesting fatigue went deeper than just this one shift. Norris didn't think much of it initially. Working in a high-traffic airport diner, dealing constantly with hurried, often demanding travelers, likely fostered a certain reserve, a protective shield, and his own fame, even partially disguised, often elicited awkwardness or unwanted attention. Her avoidance of eye contact felt understandable, perhaps even preferable. He ate his sandwich, catching up on messages, occasionally glancing up as Maria moved through the small diner. She refilled drinks, cleared tables, wiped down counters with methodical, almost robotic movements. Always quiet, always avoiding direct eye contact, not just with him, but seemingly with everyone. Yet there was something else beneath the surface shyness or fatigue, a subtle tension in her shoulders, the way her hand trembled almost imperceptibly when she refilled his coffee cup, her gaze fixed determinedly on the stream of dark liquid, careful not to spill, careful not to look up. It wasn't just shyness. It felt like apprehension, fear almost. But fear of what? A demanding customer? Spilling coffee? Or fear of him specifically? That seemed unlikely. While his presence might cause nervousness, outright fear felt disproportionate. Unless there was another reason. A reason entirely unrelated to his basketball career. He watched her more closely now, his curiosity piqued. He saw her pause near the kitchen doors, leaning her forehead against the cool metal for just a second, taking a deep, shaky breath before straightening up, smoothing her apron, and forcing a semblance of composure back onto her face. She looked like someone carrying an immense, hidden weight, someone struggling desperately to hold it together through a long, difficult shift. He finished his meal and signaled for the check. Maria approached, placing the bill discreetly on the table, still avoiding his eyes. As she turned to walk away, Norris spoke quietly, impulsively. "Everything okay, Maria?" The simple question seemed to startle her intensely. She froze mid-step, her back rigid. Slowly, she turned, her eyes finally meeting his for the first time. And what he saw wasn't shyness. It was raw, undisguised anguish, mingled with something that looked shockingly like recognition. But not the starstruck recognition he was accustomed to. This was different, deeper, more personal, and laced with profound pain. I'm fine, sir," she stammered, her voice barely a whisper. She looked trapped, like a deer caught in headlights, her gaze darting towards the exits as if contemplating flight. "Just tired. Long shift." She forced a brittle smile that didn't reach her haunted eyes. Before Norris could respond, before he could process the intensity of her reaction, she turned abruptly and hurried towards the kitchen, disappearing through the swinging doors, leaving Norris staring after her, baffled and deeply unsettled. This was the midpoint. The moment her carefully constructed wall of detached service crumbled, revealing the turmoil beneath. Her reaction wasn't just about a long shift or a famous customer. She knew him, or knew of him, in a way that caused her significant distress. But how? Why? The possibilities felt unnerving. Had he inadvertently slighted her somehow? Was there a past encounter he couldn't recall? Or was it something else entirely? Something connected to his life off the court? The need to understand gnawed at him. This wasn't just idle curiosity anymore. It felt important. He left a generous tip on the table and walked towards the counter to pay, hoping perhaps the cashier might offer some insight. As he waited, he overheard two other waitresses talking quietly near the service station. "Saw Maria run off crying again. What's got into her today?" "Said something about seeing him," the other whispered back, nodding subtly towards Norris's empty booth. "Freaked her out completely." "Her brother's anniversary, maybe?" "Still hits her hard, poor thing." "Brother's anniversary? Hits her hard? Seeing him freaked her out?" The overheard snippets intensified the mystery, adding layers of grief and a direct personal connection to his presence. What brother? What anniversary? And what, in God's name, did it have to do with Michael Jordan? Norris paid his check, his mind racing. He needed answers. He couldn't leave this hanging, couldn't walk away from the palpable pain he'd witnessed in Maria's eyes. He felt an unexpected sense of responsibility. He waited near the diner entrance, pretending to check flight schedules on the monitors, giving Maria time to compose herself. After several long minutes, she emerged hesitantly from the kitchen, her eyes red-rimmed but her composure partially restored. She saw Norris waiting and froze again, clearly wishing she could disappear. Norris approached her slowly, gently. "Maria," he began, his voice low, sincere. "I apologize if my being here caused you distress. That wasn't my intention." He paused, searching for the right words. "I overheard something about your brother? An anniversary?" Maria flinched as if struck. Tears instantly welled up again. She nodded mutely, unable to speak, looking down at her tightly clasped hands. Is there something I should know?" Norris asked softly, bracing himself for the answer, sensing it might be difficult. Maria took another shaky breath, then finally looked up, meeting his eyes directly, the raw grief mixed with a flicker of something else. "Accusation? Resentment?" You probably don't remember," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. "Why would you? It was just another game for you. Just another night." Norris frowned, confused. "What game? Maria? What night?" "March 27th, she said, the date clearly seared into her memory. 1993. Chicago Stadium. Bulls versus the Knicks. Norris searched his memory. March 93. Bulls-Knicks. A classic rivalry, always intense games. He vaguely recalled a specific late-season matchup around that time, a hard-fought win. But what was the significance? "My brother," Maria continued, her voice trembling but gaining a desperate strength, "was James Jimmy Diaz. He was 17. Huge basketball fan. Idolized you." She swallowed hard. "He saved up for months working after school to buy tickets to that game. His first ever NBA game. Sat way up in the rafters, but he didn't care. He was just so excited to see you play live." Norris listened, a growing sense of dread building within him. Where was this going? "There was a fight," Maria struggled to get the words out. "After the game, outside the stadium. Some drunk fans arguing, things got ugly. Jimmy wasn't involved, he was just trying to get to the bus stop. But he got caught in the middle, pushed, fell hard. Her voice broke completely. Hit his head on the pavement, never woke up. Silence descended, heavy, suffocating. Norris stared at Maria, the pieces clicking into place with horrifying clarity. A post-game altercation. A young fan tragically killed. He vaguely recalled hearing about such an incident back then. A brief news report amidst the usual post-game analysis, quickly forgotten in the relentless churn of the NBA season. He hadn't connected it personally, hadn't known the victim's name, hadn't realized the devastating ripple effect of that night extended beyond the stadium walls, shattering a family, leaving a sister like Maria adrift in grief years later. And now, seeing him, the idol her brother had traveled so far, saved up so long to see, had brought that traumatic night crashing back with unbearable force. Her trembling hands, her averted eyes, her sudden flight. It wasn't shyness or fear of his fame. It was the overwhelming pain of memory, the impossible collision of her brother's adoration for him, and the devastating circumstances surrounding his death, inextricably linked to the very event, the very atmosphere that Jordan himself represented. The hidden truth wasn't a dark secret or a complex conspiracy. It was a simple, devastating tragedy, long buried for Jordan, but intensely, painfully present for Maria. A tragedy unknowingly connecting them across time and circumstance, revealed in the sterile anonymity of an airport diner. "Maria," Jordan said, his own voice thick with emotion he rarely showed publicly. I had no idea. I remember hearing about an incident, but I never knew. I am so deeply sorry for your loss. For Jimmy." The apology felt inadequate, hollow against the depth of her grief, but it was all he could offer. He saw the surprise in her eyes, perhaps expecting defensiveness or dismissal. Seeing his genuine shock and remorse seemed to soften her expression slightly, shifting the accusation toward shared sorrow. "He just wanted to see you play," she whispered again, tears flowing freely now. "He had your poster on his wall, practiced your moves in the driveway." Norris felt a profound weight settle on him, heavier than any championship pressure. The random violence, the senseless loss of young life, the tragic irony that a night meant to be a dream fulfilled for Jimmy Diaz had ended in unimaginable heartbreak for his family, all orbiting an event where Jordan himself was the central figure. He realized that while that night was just one of thousands in his storied career, for Maria, it was the night her world broke apart. He couldn't undo the past. He couldn't bring Jimmy back. But he could acknowledge the connection, the shared moment in time, however tragic. He could offer more than just condolences. "Tell me about him," Jordan urged gently. "Tell me about Jimmy." And so, in the improbable setting of a busy airport diner, Maria Diaz, the quiet, unassuming waitress, haltingly began to share stories of her beloved younger brother, his infectious laugh, his passion for basketball, his dreams of playing college ball, his unwavering admiration for Michael Jordan. Jordan listened intently, respectfully, offering not platitudes but genuine presence, allowing her to share the burden of her grief, perhaps for the first time, with the person unknowingly at the center of it all. It wasn't a solution. It wasn't absolution. But it was a connection made, a hidden truth acknowledged, a shared moment of humanity found in the most unexpected of circumstances, bridging the vast gulf between global icon and grieving sister, forever linked by a tragic night in Chicago. How do our public triumphs and celebrated moments unknowingly intersect with the private tragedies and hidden grief of others, creating connections we never anticipated? What responsibility do figures in the public eye have to acknowledge the unintended ripple effects of the events surrounding their careers? Share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more stories exploring the unexpected intersections of fame, loss, and human connection.